That gets us to our 5-step plan for the Mavericks. This is courtesy of our good buddy Tim Cato of The Athletic. As the Mavericks enter tonight's game under 500 for the first time since about mid-December. This is a team, Reg, that has to go 8-5 to finish, 500? Above 500, one game above 500. Otherwise, as we look at it right now, the Mavericks 34-35 on the year. They've got 13 games left. Yes, that means they have to finish 8-5 to finish an even 500. Didn't think I would be saying that going into the final 13 games, but yet here we are, as they will have no Kyrie Irving tonight, no Tim Hardaway Jr. He's dealing with a calf contusion. Christian Wood is available as he's dealing with right foot soreness. Luka not available tonight once again as he continues to deal with his thigh strain, continues to be day-to-day for the Dallas Mavericks.
Wouldn't 8-5 put them 2 games over 500? 42 and 40?
Well, they're 34-35. That's 69.
Nice.
Right. Okay. So they got 13 games left. That would be. Math is not one of my strong.
It's all good. I was just making sure. Look, it took me a second to fact check you, anyways.
Yeah.
No, but the point being,
get right where math is not a strong suit of its co-host.
No, I think largely the point being they got some works to do to get themselves back in the place that they viewed themselves in, which was out of the play-in and maybe contending for a home court advantage going into the playoffs. Correct?
Agreed.
Fantastic.
So Tim Cato lines this out for us here. The 5 things that the Mavericks need to do to try and change the season that might be beyond fixing at this point.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's where we are.
Okay.
That's where we are. Number 1, which is one I think we would all agree with, but how do you do it at this point? I don't know. Get Luka Doncic right. Now, Dallas has won 54% of its games, a 45 win rate in games Doncic has played this season. That's despite him sitting out against several weaker opponents on the second night of back-to-backs earlier on in the season. Thank you, 817, for helping me out with the math. Thank you so much. Really
appreciate all you math-loving Tolos out there.
Yes, for helping us out here on this math-challenged program.
All right.
At least for me. At least for me.
There we go.
At least for me. I speak for myself. But yeah, you got to get Luka right because it all starts and ends with him. And if he is not right, it really doesn't matter who's on the floor because the Mavericks are basically sending out a G League team tonight without the services of Luka and Kyrie and no Tim Hardaway Jr., 3 of their top 4 scorers on this team. That is much easier said than done, obviously, for the Mavericks in the final 13 games of the season, getting Luka Doncic right.
Yeah, and they got a relatively large injury that happened at a very poor time for this team. And so you are really just playing this day by day to make sure to see when he gets to a point where he feels comfortable playing with the injury at hand, because it is one of those things that it seems like once he gets to a place where he feels like he can manage the pain, then he'll play. And I think that says something that he has not been able to play just yet.
Thank you, 214. You said it right the first time. You said they will go 8-5 to finish above 500. So thank you for listening, 214. Thank you.
I mean, okay.
I'm just saying. Play pragmatic lineups.
So play your best players?
That's a really.
I'm just asking. I just want interpretation.
Nice, comfortable way of saying, yes, play your best players, especially at this point where it should be pretty much all gas, no brakes, because you're not going to play a lick of defense for the rest of the year, and you should probably lean into the idea that we're going to try and go out here and score a $140 every night and hope for the best on the defensive end.
Yeah, but KG, some of those players that score points can't play defense.
It's very true, Christian Wood. But at the same time, what he does bring is a measure of offense that if you're going to try and outscore teams, you're going to need probably your best 5 scorers out there when they are all healthy.
Now, to be fair, one of the things that Cato mentioned and he's absolutely correct about is when on the idea of Christian Wood, and it's like, yo, man, he's going to help you score. It can be sometimes a little bit of an awkward fit when you have him, Luka, and Kyrie on the court together, because he's not always the best at screening. And so he also needs the ball, in order to get busy at times. And, now you are starting to get to those places where you're like, Luka having the ball, Kyrie having the ball, and Christian Wood also having the ball at times. That gets a little bit dicey. But no, absolutely. Maybe more than 15 minutes for Christian Wood, at least.
It wouldn't hurt. But at the same time, this is a coach who has looked at his roster and has said, even though that dude provides some scoring, he is so horrendous on the other end, he's virtually unplayable.
But yeah, I don't want to also isolate this to Christian Wood, because this isn't simply about Christian Wood. When we've talked about, or at least personally, when I've talked about some of the lineups that I haven't, or the decisions I haven't understood, that idea of that pragmatism is part of it, right? Sometimes, or at least Jason Kidd has talked about the idea of, during the season, they're going to use the rest of the season, kind of try things out and figure things out, which it takes kind of the assumption that we'll be in the playoffs and, we'll take this time and we'll tinker. And by the time we get to the playoffs, we'll know. It's like, actually, you're not in a place where you have that assuredness of playoffs to tinker. You need to be in a place where you have a singular mindset of, we need to get the best place that we can be. And sometimes that is, we need to make sure we are in the playoffs for real, for real.
Number 3 on this particular list, and this goes to a point that we were just talking about, and I love the way that Cato puts it. Play Christian Wood or don't.
Just make the decision. Because that is the thing that's been odd and maddening. It's like you get a little dabble, a little this or that. And it almost is in line with the, all gas, no brakes. If you're really going to do that, then stop trying to like half, like Big Daddy Kane said, ain't no half stepping, right? Like quit kind of like, we want to play defense even though we're not good at it. Like just lean in. And if you're gonna use him, use him. And if you're not gonna use him, have the bravado to say he does not fit what we are trying to do, so we're not gonna utilize him. You know what I mean? And I do think that's fair, because again, that helps you focus in on what you're trying to do. Because the little 15 minutes there, it doesn't feel useful, especially for the type of player that he is.
And I love Cato's point here, and it's a terrific one. Wood isn't and won't ever be a good defender, but his engagement level on that end does increase with his minutes and his role, which is natural when you're getting more playing time, the confidence that you can build to be able to have some of those moments on the defensive end where you can make an impact from time to time. There's not a level of consistency to allow him to have confidence in those moments, hence why we see the up and down nature of his defensive play as a Dallas Maverick. We'll see how the rest of that turns out for the rest of the regular season. Last couple that he has here, or at least try 2 big lineups. Now, this was the one that people were lamenting this past Saturday against Memphis when some dude named Hottie Toddy Roddy, whatever his name was out here.
David Roddy, quit talking crazy about that man.
Oh, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Sorry to that man. But at the same time, if you had some big lineups out there playing Maxey and Christian Wood together, maybe JaVale McGee can not have a DNP-CD maybe every so now and then. Maybe you can do something with that. But Wood and Maxey Kleber have only played 37 minutes together since both returned from injuries. The Mavericks, ironically, are a -7 in that small sample, while Kleber and Dwight Powell have played just 5 minutes together.
And of course, like you don't have a large sample on that. So when you start getting, lineup minute or lineup stats on small samples, there's, quite a bit of variation that can happen. But yeah, it's kind of, when you talk about tinkering, that's some of the tinkering that I would like to see, right? Like this is where we start talking about the inconsistencies again. We want to tinker, we want to try different things out. That's one of the things we would like you to try out. No, don't want to try it? Okay. All right, thanks.
Lastly, Cato says just make a summer plan at this point.
Yeah. I mean, you're close to summer anyways. Have an idea where you want to be and where you want to go.
I mean, the roster has regressed. And again, part of that is you had to make the move to get Kyrie Irving to try and increase the ceiling of this team. And you had to get rid of good pieces in order to do that. That's the nature of this business. But at the same time, if you don't retain Kyrie Irving's services, which is interesting because they do have his bird rights, which means they can pay him more than anybody in order to retain him. If he is not here, what direction then do you go from there to try and build around Luka Doncic? Because as you look around right now, it is not going to be a great free agency class. this upcoming summer.
I seen someone on the truckwreck.com text line earlier say, what about unrestricted free agent Nikola Vucevic? How does that hit you, KG?
That doesn't land real well with me. Not
Okay.
gonna lie to you.
All right, just wanted to throw it out there.
Because you, more than anything, you need some athletic wings that can shoot and score the basketball. Zach LaVine. I know that's not necessarily going to happen, but my point is that's the kind of player that I feel like this Mavericks team needs to go alongside Luka.
Not even just athletic wings. You need bigger wings.
Yes, that can ultimately defend.
Yeah.
Because right now you don't have much of that at all for the Dallas Mavericks.